A group of Houston area white teens were caught on camera using the N-word. Of course, those viral videos took over. But what would prompt teens to roll such terrible words off of their tongues? We chose not to show the video because the young people are already being challenged and confronted by their peers at their high school. Our panel discusses the consequences it could or should bring to teens who do silly things.
And our guests are here on the Factor Uncensored to talk about this disturbing trend that we're seeing on social media with many young people here in our community and around the country, where we see young people using racial slurs on social media. And what gave me the idea for this segment, Rashonda, was recently at a local school district, three white females in high school were on Snapchat saying the N-word. And then once many of their classmates found out about it, they were following them with cameras saying, "Are you the girls who were using the N-word?" So we ask ourselves, why are our young people using these racial slurs on social media, Rashonda?
Because we're in a society that just thinks it's no big deal. Our children just do not understand the consequences of their actions. That you'll see so many times these young people on social media saying, you know, what's the big deal? I was just playing. I was just kidding around. And they don't realize the long-term effects in so many facets of their life, how that can hurt them.
And Amina, that's one of the important points you were making, that this has a long-lasting impact on these young people.
Right. Our actions are attached to our names in the digital space for forever. It can be a good thing or a bad thing. When it's bad, people have lost scholarships, jobs, admission to college, among other things. So when you've adopted social media as deeply into your life as many of us have, you have to consider the consequences of that. And teenagers have a tendency to make irresponsible choices in real life. And now we're seeing the types of damage that can be done when that spills over into the online space. So you really have to, as you allow your teenagers to use social media, you have to set some ground rules.
And Rashonda, why do some teens always get it and some simply don't? They just don't get the damage that they can do to themselves, their reputations, their families by using racism on social media.
You know, I think a lot of them buy into this. It's private. My account is private. Only my friends see this. And they don't understand. You may have a friend that doesn't approve of your racist behavior, and they're screenshotting or you know, taking a video of your video. And so many of the kids just don't get that. You know, I even have that problem with my own children, where I am constantly having to say, there is no such thing as private on social media. And every now and then I send them something from my burner account to remind them that people do see what's going on.
Yeah.
Every mom needs a burner account.
Thank you.
No one.
And Amina, one of the things you mentioned was that we have seen a lot of this increase in racism among young people on social media, platforms like Snapchat or TikTok after the George Floyd case.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we have, you know, again, we're seeing some of the real life scenarios and situations that we've been dealing with for decades. And again, that's spilling over into the online space, and people are fed up. You know, they want people to be held accountable, and just with the culture of social media and online interactions, this is one way people are feeling as a way they want to fight back or kind of spread this message that this is unacceptable. And, you know, we all want free speech, but nobody wants to deal with the consequences. These are some of the consequences.
And the video that I received last night, which is responsible for this segment, and I chose not to air it and not to show the young girls' faces because it was stupid for them to do it, first of all, and it would be that would have a bigger impact on them. But when you hear the dumb debate, Rashonda, that I use the N-word with the A at the end and not the ER, and that's their justification. When you hear that, I mean, what does that mean?
And the sad part is I think they convince themselves of that. I think they're like, well, the rappers use it and I'm not using the R. And I think we just have to keep hammering home that none of it is acceptable. And so once we air these stories of people suffering the consequences, I think we do need to air them, just because we need to send a message to the other teens, other young people in general, that there are consequences to their actions.
Amina, would you agree with that? You also you just need to air it and show that there are consequences.
Mm. Mm. Well, I don't always know if that's needed just with how conversations happen online, but I do think that, you know, it's just rooted at home. It starts at home, having those conversations. I think we have enough real life scenarios that you can point to and really talk to teenagers about, okay, if you posted something like this could happen, and this is how it can make other groups of people feel.
All right.
As someone who has done that and who had those conversations, and my daughter still posted something inappropriate several years ago, I talked till I was blue in the face. And so sometimes they're just not listening to mom and dad. And so that's why I say they have to see the consequences of their actions.